Okay.
So I presume you would start with probably the survey plan there. So
Yeah, let me see what I got here. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
All right, so we've got, this is the application. New home construction. Okay,
Can I
so,
ask a question?
sure.
Is this a spec house or is this, do we know?
it's for speculation, yes.
Okay.
So Rich, you want to start with the site plan? Is that good?
Yeah, Zoom, that's for good. Yeah. So if everyone can see,
This is the site right here.
yeah. So to the left, just above, yeah, that's the septic field
Yeah.
that I have a plan for already. That's approximate size. That's the house site.
Mhm.
There was actually another one that I sent to Harriet later that showed the setbacks. I guess
Okay.
that didn't get to you to her.
Harry,
but-
do you know if you sent that to me? I can look in my email. Why don't you keep going and see what?
So I think this, like the backline setback in that district, I know you guys aren't dealing too much with building code, but I believe it's 10 feet and then the building is approximately 15 feet.
Mhm.
And then, oh, I can't remember, but it's probably about 90 feet. I don't have the access completely worked out yet. There's actually a easement that my abutter has built out a road, which is the west side of the property,
Mhm.
that I could potentially use as access to the house, or there's kind of already a curb cut about in the middle of the road frontage area
Okay.
that I could go straight across. And so you can see kind of there's a stream
Mhm.
depicted there. And a few years ago, actually, I put 3 sections of culvert in. So that's all has access through there now. So even though it is a ways from the road, it will still be visible from the road.
Rich, let me just pause you. I'm going to indicate something here. Is that roughly the location? I saw the stakes out there. Is that about where the house is going?
No, I have that
Yeah.
on the on the drawing there.
Oh, back here? Is this?
Yeah. That's the house.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the septic to the left, and that's the house.
Got it. Okay.
I think that's fairly accurate.
Mhm. Okay.
So I want to put solar panels on the house, so I have removed several trees already, and I intend on moving some more. So we have pretty good solar radiance there.
So if south is towards Stewart Street, the solar panels are on.
Yeah, it's pretty much, the front of the house is facing pretty much due south.
Okay.
So the front area, I'd like to kind of, grass that over. There's a beautiful field across the street, if any of you are familiar with Stewart Street over there. So I kind of like to maintain that kind of a feel for that area, because it's pretty nice. And there's a lot of on the trees. I leave some of the trees that are along the road. I had and I'd certainly maintain some of those bigger trees. There was actually no power to this site, and the poles now have been installed. The power is coming in from Mills Road. They had to install, I think, 2 new poles, and then they had to move a pole on Mills Road. That work has already been done. I don't obviously have any power to the building because it's not there yet. But the pole has been installed on Stewart Street.
Can I pause
yeah,
you? Could I ask if you could just sort of take us through the drawing so we can get a sense of the submittal? Is that okay?
Sure.
So what is this drawing here?
So this is an example of a Cape style house with black roofing and black solar panels.
Okay.
It is to depict kind of the aesthetic of what that would look like. I think the black solar panels on black asphalt roof makes it kind of blend in to the structure more. So that's why I submitted that drawing, and that house is actually in Newcastle on Indian Trail.
Mm-hmm. So are you proposing this color siding? Is that what I understand?
No.
No.
Nope. The siding is going to be white.
Okay.
White, and the windows are going to be black.
So if I understand you, what we should pay attention to here is
Roof.
color of the roof and the trim, the white trim.
And really the solar panels, the black solar panel.
Panels. Got it. Okay.
I mean, I don't know if you want to maybe zoom in a little bit more so people can get more of a feel for it. Yeah.
Can I go to the next picture?
Yep.
So what is this?
So we're looking now at an example of an addition. To the right is an existing house on Bunker Hill Road. To the left is an addition that was built with vinyl siding. So I propose vinyl siding and also like an AZAC type trim, which is this addition that I thought was tastefully done. They did a similar thing, and I drive this way to work every day. And I asked the builder one day, I said, well, what kind of siding is on there? He said, it's vinyl. And I was surprised because I couldn't tell. They actually did build up the sill also. So it's a thick sill on the window, which is not my intention of doing, but I am going to, build out with a typical flat casing and a flat corner boards, which is typically not done with vinyl siding. So that's kind of like an add-on to a typical vinyl siding installation where they use molded corners and that type of thing. With the AZAC, I mean, it does because it has that flat kind of sharp corner look. I think it's from a distance, it's almost undistinguishable from a type of a wood trim theme that would be done.
And you said that was going to be black?
The windows are going to be black, which is, you know, you can't really tell from this photo too much what color the windows are. I don't even, can't remember actually.
But the AZAC trim is going to be white or black?
Yeah, it's white. It's
Oh,
all white.
okay. Thank you.
And so, you know, one of the things with, I think vinyl siding that's a giveaway is the J trim, the J bead. And then you can kind of see it here, you know, you get these gaps that are for every 2 courses, about every 10 feet, there's a splice. But can you explain your plan, Rich, with the trim? Are you going to do J beads or?
So if you're looking on the house, you think there's J trim on the house? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm looking at this corner. If you can see the cursor.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I didn't think that was on the original house, J trim, but on the addition there's not.
Over here, there is.
Those corner boards have a notch in them, so the vinyl is captured underneath there, so you don't have any J trim.
Yeah.
And the same thing would be the case for the casing.
Okay.
And the other giveaway I would say, Tor, is the way that it's molded on the corners, because the corners are not, the outer corners are, you can tell they're kind of molded, so they don't have a sharp look to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we go to the next image?
Okay. Yeah.
What's this?
So yeah, that was in color when I sent it over.
Okay.
That is just a rendering of the house. So
Okay.
I think the committee could probably use that mostly for just the proportions. You can tell kind of has the traditional Cape proportions, and it's going to have a black asphalt roof with black windows, and the front door will be painted black.
Okay. Is it parallel to the road, Rick?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Loud enough to hear?
So, you know, it's important for me that it is in keeping with the neighborhood. So it's sort of my, you know, intention of trying to do this project to have a manufactured building, you know, be, you know, look like a custom built house.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to skip to the elevations. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
So again, the windows are, you know, they're 8/8,
8/8.
12/12 pitch. Again, you know, it has the traditional Cape proportions. I was going to make it like an 11/12 because I think it's a little bit roof heavy now. And my intention for the living space is actually, I'm building it that the upper floor will not be utilized. So the living space would all be on the first floor now. So there would be a staircase to the top floor. So if people in the future did want to utilize the space upstairs, they would have access to it. But I'm trying to make this a super efficient structure, heated with heat pumps, and like the ceiling has an R48 insulation. It has all fiberglass in the walls with foam on the outside to make it, you know, so there's no So there's a thermal break and make the building that much more tight. It will be on a full foundation, and the floor structure from the basement to the first floor will also meet the code for insulation. I believe it's an R28. You probably know that, Tor, for because it's a modular, the floor structure actually has to be maintained as though it was directly to the exterior. But it does have a full foundation, so it's a very tight structure. Yeah.
Okay. So if it's parallel to a road, we see three sides. Probably, right? Would see the right side and the left side. So this is the right elevation. I assume the front door is to the left here. Is that right? That would be the front of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, the main access is to the left side, which on the west side of the building. You show that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then this is the other side that you would see sort of coming down Stewart Street from the Mills Road. Got it.
Yes.
And then what else do you have here? You have basement plan, some building sections. Okay. Assume you have paper copies of this, Rich?
No.
Okay. These are a little hard to read. There's something a little more legible. I think
I
at
can
least for the
probably
file in the
get
town.
I
that
can
would
probably
be
get a a higher quality image.
Yeah.
And I could I can get a paper copy
Okay.
if you would like.
Anything else before I ask the committee for comment? It's an open discussion. I'm not saying that this is the last time to talk. I'm just gonna see what committee members have to ask.
Well, I wanted to add to that. It's gonna have city water.
Okay.
The sewer does not actually go down Stewart Street, but the city water does. So my plan is to not drill a well, but to have city water, which I think sometimes kind of the wellhead can look kind of not so aesthetically pleasing.
Mhm.
So that's not a concern here.
Okay. Committee, you have comments, questions?
I think my comment is that I'd like to see a paper copy, even if it's just one copy that we have to go to the town hall to look at.
I agree, yeah.
This was very difficult to, not being an architect or anything, it was really difficult for us to, or me to decipher.
Mhm. And what are the windows?
They're vinyl windows. They're vinyl and then painted black.
So do they have the faux grills in them, or are they just single glass? Like 1/1?
Yeah, it's I'm pretty sure it's a grill that would be attached.
Does that mean a removable one or?
Yeah, removable grill.
On the inside of the window, probably.
Yes.
Mhm.
So you guys want paper copy? Do you want full scale drawings or what, or is it like just 9x11 printout okay?
Well, I was suggesting that for future applicants that there is access to a full-size drawing so we can decipher it.
Mhm.
I think 8.5 by 11 is about what I managed on my computer, and I still was struggling.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that probably has to do more with just the size that was either sent to me or the size that I had probably emailed it to people. I can start with sending Harriet some higher resolution drawings. I think that would probably be helpful. I mean, so um,
I think what Deb would,
the builder is in Canada.
Yeah.
So I actually until I kind of go through this process, I'm not actually signing the contract with them, and so I don't know how much that.
well, let's
So I'd
start
have
here.
to see. I'd have to see. I have to go through this process to see if this is our final design. So
So let me
so
ask
I don't know if they'd be ready to send me a full set of
hold on a
architectural
second.
drawings.
Let me just ask the committee then. Do you feel that you have enough information with
No.
this digital set?
No.
No.
Was that a no?
I said no.
Mm.
Catherine said no.
Mhm, mhm. Got it.
So, Deb, I mean, I guess what we could do is you could have the set of drawings in the plans room. Not that we have a plans room at the front of the office that could live there. It would be something to discuss with John and administration, but I think that would be an idea that it could be in the front room and we could visit it to, members could visit it to be familiar with the project. But I would say they'd have to be large scale drawings. I don't think 8.5 by 11 would be much better than what we're looking at.
Exactly. And Rich, I applaud you for not using, a lot of paper for this. I don't know who makes up the copies when we get them, but so I think we can visit the office and just look at them.
So what do we want here? We want what size drawings do you want to look at?
The full size, I don't know, Tor, what size are they?
Well, these are 3/16 to a foot. So, I mean, these are probably 18 by 24 inch sheets. So they're probably, pretty good size. I think, whatever would be scale. So it'd be important that it's actually to a scale. So when you print it out at 8.5 by 11, you're only seeing a portion of the scale. So I think it would be important.
Okay, so I'll probably have to get a higher res file from them and get it printed at the print shop or something.
Mhm.
The way I would go about that. But I'd like to know what you guys are looking for.
I have a question.
Because I think that kind of for design review we're really looking at design, right? So I'm just curious to know, like I say, what you guys what you hope to see with a higher quality set of drawings.
Well, I just have a comment or some questions. One is, this is Catherine. So I'm confused. So someone bought the field and they want to put this house in the field, and you are going to build it for them.
No.
Yeah.
No. So the history is that I used to own a house on the corner of Stewart Street and Mills Road.
Yeah, the gray one.
When I purchased that property, it came with this lot.
Okay.
And my plan was that, my family would live in that house on the corner and eventually build another smaller house for ourselves on this lot. But then, realizing that I live on the river in beautiful Sheepscott, I thought that that's kind of a foolish idea. So, I have been trying to sell this lot for the last 6 years, and I haven't really found any buyers. So then I are now working through the idea of putting a house for speculation on this lot.
So then how does it, this is the only spec house in the neighborhood, I'm assuming.
I have no idea. I don't know.
So, it just, there's a lot of old houses, original, period homes in that neighborhood. So I'm wondering if it's set to use, a manufactured home.
I mean, to your point, there's probably very few new homes that have been built in this neighborhood in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably, make that statement. So, and that's why it's important to me, that I have, developed the design that I think is in keeping with the neighborhood. So it would be my hope that, in a few years when the landscaping would fill in, et cetera, that people would not realize that this house was not, 100 years old.
Hmm.
Betsy, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have any comments? Do you have any questions?
I like the idea of having it be meadow-like in the front. Is that's the plan, to look like the meadow across the way?
Well, it's not as large as that field across the street, but I'd like it to kind of feel like it's a bit contiguous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a nice design of a cape. My only complaint is a tiny one. Those insert window pieces, I'm not sure what they call them. They don't hold up well. If people have dogs or something, they get broken, and it wouldn't look very nice from the street to have. They're the kind that you stick in the window and take out if you want to wash the window, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I would say that that most 6/6, 8/8 windows that are manufactured these days are that style. To have a true divided light, you're really looking at like a high-end.
Well, the ones that I'm thinking of, it's between the glass. They're
Okay.
thermal pane.
Yeah, so I really don't have the answer to that. So I'll have to, if that's a question, I will have to ask them on that. I don't
It's
have
just a
the,
little thing, but
yeah, and yeah.
So I have a few things I want to mention. I think, to the point of these details, that there's two things, I guess. Having a setback off the road 90 feet or more is probably, it probably helps the fact that it's not materials that you see on the other houses in the neighborhood. So you have historic houses with natural wood clapboards and trim details, and then a house that's got vinyl siding, vinyl windows, and vinyl trim. So I guess setting it back helps. You know, the site doesn't really, from my understanding, Rich, the site doesn't allow you to pull it up to the road. So it's set back there because that's sort of the best place on the lot.
That's correct. I would also add that my neighbor, Adam, get his last name, but he built an addition a few years ago. I don't know if that had to go before design review,
Mhm.
but I think he added another
Oh, the next door to the left?
story on his structure there. And I
Yeah.
believe he has vinyl siding on his.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I think you may be right. That's just about placement. I think I would just say that the only thing that I think the proportion, I think it's a pretty good representation of a historic cape. The only thing I would change, I'm not sure about these overhangs at the rake ends. It'd look a little more historic if it didn't have these little the protrusions. Let me share this again. Actually, I am sharing this. Do you see the elevations? I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I'm. Can you see where my cursor is?
No.
I cannot see it. No, I think maybe go on the other side of the rake there. Yeah, if you're trying to do it on the right side of the screen, I think that was where the video feed is.
So I'm talking about, can you see this?
Nope.
No.
Are you on the front elevation?
I am. Try this again.
See your cursor now.
Can you see this now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, see this overhang here at the
Yes.
rake
Yes.
ends of the building?
Yes.
You know, historic cape, that would be tucked in tighter. You wouldn't have, look at historic capes, the rake trim is usually flush, you know, or just
Oh,
out
right. Right.
from the side.
Right.
When you see this kind of detail, it says, you know, not historic. So I think that's one thing that I'd like to see changed personally is I think if
Okay.
you brought that back, it would help.
No rake eave overhang.
Right. I mean, I think, you know, I think it looks pretty good. I mean, I might drive by it if it's 90 feet back and kind of, you know, I think it would blend in at that point. You know, I think we need to know what's going on with the front stoop. We don't know what's going on at the door, whether that's like, you know, let's put it this way. If it were precast concrete steps, that might be, you know, that would take away from the architecture.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there should be a nice piece of cut stone there.
Yeah.
I think that's what my intention is.
So it'd be nice to note that. I think the
Okay.
section, to me, the section's got the details. It lists as I pointed out before, this drawing, you know, lists all the materials, but it's hard to A, read, and B, you'd have to know how to read this drawing to know what's on the outside of the building. So typically what we see is right on the outside elevation is call out. This is vinyl siding, you know, vinyl trim, etc. So, you know, this would be a good place to indicate the, you know, stone stoop, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And the
asphalt
stoop
shingle.
on this side door too.
Yeah. And Rich, so you wouldn't have to come back for solar panels. I would indicate solar panels on this elevation as well.
Mm-hmm.
so that we'd get that in this permit review. I think what I'm thinking right now is we have two members that are not comfortable with making a decision on this because they feel that they don't have adequate, they haven't reviewed it in detail enough. Is that fair to say, Deb and Catherine? So I think with only two members, or we don't have a positive vote, I think we need to get more information, Rich.
Okay.
And we need drawings at the town office so we can stop by and see them.
Is the town office open these days? What's the deal down there?
It is by appointment. So like I said, if you give it to Harriet, she can put it in the front room and put a tag on it. And then, you know, the committee can stop in, make an appointment, stop in and review them.
Okay.
And it would be nice if you got the rakes in, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to them about that. It's sort of a balance, you know, what I'm trying to do here to get a traditional design with a pre-manufactured home. So some of the technical ways that they build these things, you know, you have to overcome. For example, that roof, when they ship it, all the trusses are actually laying flat down. And then when they put it in place, they raise the trusses up. So I don't know if there's any kind of technical issue with that. I have no idea. So they're actually hinged onto the main structure, all the trusses, and then they just tip them up. So, but you know, part of my process of going through this is again try to have a pre-manufactured home that is has the ability to be net zero energy and is aesthetically you know, as aesthetically a nice structure, and that is affordable. I think, you know, the overall cost of like doing a structure like this, pre-manufactured or custom built, you know, the savings is probably, you know, project cost is probably 50% less.
Mm-hmm.
So like I say, it's kind of like, I'm trying to balance those things.
Have you looked at local prefab places like Brightbuilt?
Double the price.
Double?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But there, yeah, okay, never mind. Are you writing up the report, Tor?
Well, I'm just writing down what I have here is four items that I think we want Rich to come back with. One is
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Paper copies, full-scale paper copies delivered to the town office.
And I'm sorry, what size is that again?
Full scale. So I don't know. I'm saying it's going to be at least 18 by 24, but
Okay.
what I would recommend is you ask Prestige Homes to mail you a set of plans.
Okay.
And then whatever should be color, Rich, I think that would help. And my other note here, along with that, is it'd be nice to know what the colors are. And just a note, so you can take these drawings yourself and you can add notes to them. It doesn't have to be drafted by the manufacturer, but you know, for these items like colors, what is the color of the material? What color are we looking at? It's white with white trim with asphalt shingle roof. So it'd be nice to know, what asphalt shingle, what it's black, you say, but exactly which type of black shingle it is. Is it 3-tab or architectural, something like that?
Okay.
And then indicate the materials on the elevations, including the solar panels.
Right. Okay.
So that's what I have. I have those 4 items there: materials, paper copies, show solar panels, and the colors of the materials. Oh, and also what is the door? Is that a vinyl door, or is it wood, or is it, would be just nice to know that.
Okay. Material.
So if we went on Prestige Homes website, would we be able to see an example of this home?
Not at all,
Oh,
because it's a custom design. Yeah, it's a custom design that I've been working with. The Derigo Structures is in Woolwich. They're the representative for Prestige, and I've kind of been working on this design with them. So it is a custom design. But you're happy to go. They do have websites, so you're welcome to go to their website to see some other aspects about their building structures.
Is there,
It's kind of interesting, that the way that they build these homes is actually from the outside in. So they're able to do a really good job, sealing all the electrical outlets. They're correct, so it's a pretty, they do a really good job of, sealing everything up because it's done in a controlled environment.
Rich, I'm going to pause you there, just so we can move things along. With the committee, is there any other detail that you want to see, a note for Rich? The other thing, Rich, is the overhang. That was one thing I mentioned. And
I had that written down. Yes, I'll see if that's possible to eliminate that.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
So can we have a motion to table this until we have Rich come back with these items?
I make a motion to table it.
Second it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, raise your hand, all those in favor. Okay, Harriet, that's 4. Unanimous. Okay, Rich, thank you. That was good.
So should I ask to get on the next agenda, or would this be done?
You'll automatically be at the top of the next agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that would be in about a month. Is that right?
So right now our next meeting is on the 3rd. So let's just pin that
Okay.
one for now. Okay.
September 3rd. Okay. Okay. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next, let me just close out of this. Okay, 35 Pond Road, that's the Kavanaugh estate, now owned by Steve and Nancy Williams. So who do we have here representing that project? I see Steve Williams.
Hi, I'm Scott Lewis. I'm the project manager. I work for Preservation Timber Framing.
Hey,
And
Scott.
we're the general contractor of record.
Okay. So who else do we have here? The Williams, Anna. You guys, can you unmute yourself so we can say hello? And Aaron Sturgis, you're
Yep.
part of this.
I'm the owner of Preservation Timber Framing, and I work with Scott Lewis directly on this project.
Okay, great.
And I'm here, Tim Dinsmore, archaeologist.
Okay, thanks. So who wants to present what the project is? I'll call up the drawings.
I'll start, and if we have some more, technical questions, architecture related, Anna's here to answer anything like that, but I think I can run through at least the overview and answer questions, regarding scope of work and direction of the project.
So you guys have a lot of information. I'm just wondering, well, I guess, yeah, there's quite a bit here. I'm not sure if you're prepared. Could you share a screen and show us what is anybody in your project prepared to do that? Could you, or would you prefer that I just scroll through it and you?
It might be easiest if you want to scroll through it.
Okay, I'll do that. So let's see. So Scott, I've got, there's a couple of drawing sets. One is by Gartley and Dorsey. I believe the other is by, is it?
So you should have 3 sets. The Gartley and Dorsey would be the engineered set of structural engineered drawings for the L. Anna's drawings from Stoneboat with the proposed remodel and addition. And then you should have a set from Preservation Timber Framing, which is a structural timber frame assessment set of drawings.
Zoom is fun.
Hi, Tim. We just talked on the phone.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm confused what's going on right now.
Thor, you're muted.
Oh,
There you go.
I don't hear Tor at all, so.
No.
Should get some popcorn, I guess.
Scott, do they have the schematic drawing of the overall plot plan?
Yes.
They do. That might be a good place to start, just to bring up, put it in context for them. Have we got your tour?
You can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We got you now. Couldn't
Yeah,
hear
we
you
do.
before. I do keep losing you.
Can't hear you again, Tora.
He's working on it. I can see him working.
Well, this is my first introduction to Zoom, and so far, so good.
It works. I can see Deb and I can see Betsy. I can't see Catherine, but thank you for your patience.
Thank you for yours.
No problem. Happy to be here. Just so you know, Steve and Nancy, this happens to me every time I go near a computer. That's probably me.
I don't think so.
Can you hear me?
Almost.
Not really, no.
Tor is muted right now.
Now I have a
Tor needs.
telephone symbol here.
That's not gonna work.
I don't know, guys. I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we've
Yes.
got you now.
All right. Well, let's start again here. I'm gonna share a set of drawings here,
Okay.
and y'all see that?
Yes.
So can we start here?
Sure, that'd be great.
So take us away.
Okay. Well, Tor, first I wanted to thank you and the entire committee for hosting us tonight. We're certainly pleased to be here and talk about the Kavanaugh House and a direction that it's headed. So what we're here tonight for is a remodel of the L, and so a remodel and an addition to the L. We have a beautifully historic Kavanaugh house, federal style house with an attached L, all timber framed. We have gone through the L and removed the interior finishes to get a better idea what the frame looks like and kind of what we had and what we had to work with. During that process, we uncovered a lot of information about the L, both, things that needed to be addressed and things that were just historically kind of answered some questions for us. So with that said, we brought in Gartley and Dorsey to do an structural engineering report on the things that needed to be upgraded in order to meet code for this addition and remodel. Anna has provided drawings for this remodel, both interior and exterior finishes. And we're at the point right now where we have, like I said, uncovered enough information in the frame to produce both engineered drawings and architectural drawings to move forward with a remodel and additions. So what we're proposing is an addition to the timber frame in length. It's almost basically adding another bent to the timber frame headed towards the north. And in addition, we're proposing to the east of adding an 8-foot gallery that would be accessed through, to bathrooms and egress for the house and that type of stuff.
Let's go here. Is this existing conditions then?
This is our existing conditions drawings. Red indicating a fair amount of rot, repair needed, some things of that nature. Structural issues in the roof that we've addressed with the engineer, and obviously, a building of this age. The home is on a wonderful foundation. This particular L addition is not on a great foundation, so there would be a full basement, structural basement poured with an entirely new undercarriage. Anything that is in red that we are proposing that needs repair, we would be repairing in kind, timber for timber, with traditional joinery, scarf joints, trying to repair as much as possible and not, and save as much historic fabric as possible.
So, playing this drawing with colors, I suppose.
Oh, I think we're losing you again.
Now, what's this drawing represent?
This is existing conditions of the sill. Basically the sills and the first floor undercarriage. Virtually, to the north, earthbound. And then this is basically what we could see that was existing, but most, north is earthbound. South, you can just kind of crawl under enough to view what's there.
Okay. This is a floor plan. So this is existing conditions. Okay.
This is all existing conditions. This is, first floor, second floor, tie beam level, attic space that we could see the majority of the frame before we stripped out the interior finishes. But once we stripped the interior finishes, we updated the drawings to, obviously being able to see more of the frame itself and areas that needed to be addressed.
Okay. We move on to what you're proposing.
Sure, that would be, Anna's drawings would have the proposed, remodel and additions.
On. Great. Perfect. Anna, do you want to explain this?
Sure, I'll talk a little bit. So first is just the cover page, but I do want to talk a little bit about sort of our approach on the project in general, just adding to what Scott has already said. So everyone here already knows the Kavanaugh Mansion. It's definitely a local landmark in the area. And so our approach with the renovation of the L has really been trying to honor the history that's been there, while also making it work for the programmatic needs of actually living a modern life in this home. So can I actually take the cursor from you so I can run it?
Yeah, sure, by all means. You wanna, I can stop share and you can share.
Yeah, could we do that?
Do you have that? Can you, I'm not sure if I have to switch it over. Can you do it?
It says that you need to enable participant screen sharing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, try that.
Got it. I think. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. So in the architectural plans, we have an overview of just the existing conditions, which I'm not going to elaborate on too much. So I'm going to keep scrolling down. But you can note here, this is existing conditions, front elevation, and you'll notice that later on when we're looking at the proposal, we haven't made any major alterations whatsoever from the street view. So things are going to continue to look the same as they did, nothing radical. So existing conditions, this was that back rear corner area. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. So this is our new renovated rear L. And so this is actually, Scott mentioned that we've already started to peel back the interior, pulling away different layers. But I do want to mention that as we've done this, we've learned a lot about the project. We've learned a lot about Nicholas Cobb, the original builder that was also the architect on the project. We've learned about just the different phases of the L's. We've actually learned that this is not the only L that's been here. I'll let Scott talk about that. So this is definitely a later iteration of an L that we're working on. During pulling it apart, preservation timber framers have done a wonderful job delicately pulling things apart. So all the original woodwork, the fireplaces, everything is going back in. We plan to reuse as much as we can. The first floor has really beautiful wide wooden boards on the lower half of the walls with nice moldings and everything else. Whatever moldings we can't reuse, we're going to replicate. So we're really keeping with the original nature of the house going through, but making it so that it's got to be comfortable for the Williams to live in and meet their needs. And so the dingle over here, which is the correct historic term, we stripped it and we actually found that structurally it's not in bad shape. So we're keeping it as is. We're keeping the windows in the exact same locations. We'll do new windows, but they'll be SDLs matching the same window panes, patterns, everything. No changes visually. The doors will be new doors, but they're going to look the same as the old ones. They'll just be energy efficient at this point, wood doors. So the dingle's staying as it is. And then, like I said, you walk in and you're still going to be surrounded with these original fabrics that were in the house. We're keeping details like this back stair that's original. It's beautiful, but we are putting a kitchen and a powder room, a little butler's pantry. What's really nice is, despite the multiple owners of the Kavanaugh Mansion, nobody has ever come in and really renovated it. So we don't have to, like, nobody ever put a kitchen in this federal space. It's really never been altered, which is just absolutely cool. When we're here trying to put the history back into it, we don't have to do anything too drastic. So the new kitchen will be in the back, and we've added this gallery on the back. We just need a little bit more room for comfort and for access throughout. We have, as Scott had mentioned, we have added an extra vent on the end, just a 4-foot little jog, which matches the same proportions of the house. We just needed that little extra breathing room. So there's the first floor. And then we have the second floor, which is composed of their master suite and some bathrooms. And so before, in the old Kavanaugh Mansion, the upstairs was always bedrooms, and we're just keeping true to that. Keeping the bedrooms, we don't want to run plumbing or anything in this federal side, so we're keeping the bathrooms in the back L. Currently, if you do go into the building, there is a bathroom right here that was put on at a later date. It's just not true to the house. It needs to be removed, so we're taking that out. But here, let's take a look. We've given thought to every detail, even the eaves and the overhangs. We're not matching the federal side, but we're doing something that's appropriate for the rear L, because it would never be as grand being a rear L. So this is the new proposed front view. Really, you can't tell any differences. I will throw out that we are debating changing the color of the mansion. However, we have a specialist that is coming on site and is going to provide information for us of what the original color of the house was, which would be interesting to know, because it was built at the same time as the Matthew Cottrell house downtown. My own personal curiosity, I wonder if the house was originally white like that, because it was the same architect builder within the same chunk of years. I don't know. I'm very interested to know what the original color was, because I suspect it wasn't yellow. So the front street view going down, this would be the side view that you would see when you drove in and walked up to the property. There's really no changes here, except the windows have been given a little bit more balance. The proportions of the windows are exactly the same, and we've added just a little extra room on the rear. So then we have the back side of the home, which would be towards the lake, but you actually can't see it from the lake. There's too much tree growth. And so you'll see this is the kitchen window, the bedroom windows, And then we have the new proposed gallery over here. And then going in the back, we have the federal, no changes. This gallery here, which is allowing us to have egress and everything else and try to soak in as much ventilation and natural light as we can in the space. So that is that. I'm trying to see what else we've submitted here. We've just submitted doors and windows, and then here you can see that we've actually gone through and profiled, I guess, the different original molding details that are throughout the house so that we can replicate that when putting things back. I could talk about this for hours, but you probably don't want to hear me talk about it for hours. So, what else would you like to know?
I think that's good, Anna. I mean, it gives us an overview of your considerations for the design, so I think that's good. I'll probably just add just a quick comment that the side with the gallery is not really visible from the mills, from the Pond Road. So,
No, not at all, really. I think you'd have to work. I don't even think you could see it from the Pond Road, no.
so what I'll do is this. I want to have the committee sort of ask questions, make comment, and as well as Tim Dinsmore's here, and he had provided a letter with just a basically a information on sort of the value of the archaeology for this property in this building. Before I do that, I just want to, I see the Williams, and I just, I want to compliment them. I had a brief tour. I stopped in 2 days ago and just introduced myself to one of the foremen on the project, a guy named Dan, very capable fellow, and he was nice enough to show me around.
Can't hear you, Tor.
And it's an education just exploring the architecture of the building. So I just want to say how lucky we are that the Williams are, seem to be stewards of this renovation process, and I want to compliment them and thank them for So with that, I just want to add the committee. Is there comments from the committee? We'll let Tim speak in a minute.
Handsome looking.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Handsome, but I also would like to have seen the bigger plans.
The bigger plan.
I can drop off. I have plans at the Kavanaugh House, and I can drop them off at the town hall tomorrow morning. We have 24 by 36 drawings.
Could that be of stone boats drawings too?
It's stone boats and Gartley and Dorsey's. I can give you a set of ours as well, 11 by 17.
Yeah, I think we could look at Gartley and Dorsey. I mean, they're very technical, which is great if you can read them. Really, so we're not a historic preservation committee. So, our is design considerations. I would say the, Anna's drawings, and then the drawings that you created, Scott, gives you a kind of general scope of what you're trying to do there. So.
Okay, I'll drop off both of those sets tomorrow morning.
In the ordinance for design review committee and in the land use ordinance is that we categorize the structure of, or the building itself. So what that language says is there's three categories. There's an A building, a B building, and a C. So A is, let's start with the other way. C is buildings post 1900. So that's 1900 era buildings and later. B buildings are pre-1900, but they're not especially historically significant. And then A buildings are pre-1900 and then are historically significant. And so what that does is it gives the committee or sort of categorizes what we are talking about. I think we'll need to, first thing I'd like to do is just maybe make a motion. I think this is without a doubt an A building. Is there any doubt from the committee that this would be a type A building?
No doubt.
What's that?
Agreed.
Yeah. So can we get a motion second for type A? And then we'll move on from there.
I second it.
Okay, great. So Deb motioned, Betsy seconded, all those in favor. So great.
Aye.
Catherine? Yeah. Okay, so Harriet, that's unanimous. With that done, just gives the project a little bit more weight and discussion. So I would say, Tim, maybe if you could just give us a little history of the Kavanaugh estate, could you do that for the audience?
I'm sure that they know more than I do.
Yeah.
I was just asked to talk about the archaeology. Obviously, it's on the National Register of Historic Places. It was home to one of the governors of Maine, and it is a highlight of the history of Newcastle, particularly the Damascotta Mills area. So I was asked by one of the committee members to chime in on any archaeological potential. And so I just quickly put together a email with my thoughts, not knowing 100% the language in the Newcastle Land Design Review. I know that in the past there's been archaeology specified, particularly for type A house in Newcastle. And we did conduct archaeological work. My company did on the adjoining property, the former Connie Curley house, which is down the hill eastward. You can see it from the Kavanaugh house. It's a very rudimentary house, which is interesting because it's the same time period juxtaposed against the Kavanaugh mansion. And that was undertaken because that was going to be raised, however. And then it was decided that a phase 1 historic archaeological survey needed to be conducted prior to raising the structure and the rebuilding of a new home, because that would obviously adversely impact any archaeological deposits on the property. And so we went ahead with conducting that survey. There was also questions as to the date. There's not as much as questions the date of this house as it was for that house. And because it was a big discrepancy, the archaeology indicated that the Connie Curley house, which was reported to have been constructed in the circa 1730, which was when the Damascotta Mills was settled. Actually, none of the material culture that was uncovered during the survey dated any earlier than the 1760s, and probably more likely was occupied in the 1780s to 90s. So with that, the Kavanaugh mansion has a well-established date, and you probably can tell me the date right off the top of your heads. 1803, right?
Yeah.
For the federal
1803
portion.
for the home, yes.
1803 for the main house.
For the federal, yeah. The L is later.
So that's what I was gonna, but you said it's it's an iteration of a former L, correct?
It's not, no, I don't think it's an iteration of a former L. There was a different structure there. Wasn't as tall. We found evidence of, clapboards that were going up the roof line on the back of the federal house.
Mhm.
There, we were always under the impression that maybe the building was there and then they built the federal to it.
That's
But
pretty
just
common.
structure wise, in the undercarriage alone, the floor girts carrying timbers for the, for the first floor are joined directly into the sill of the federal house.
As if it was
So-
built at the same time?
No, it was built after.
It was built after, gotcha.
Yeah, because on the federal, what we've uncovered is the window openings that were covered over by the L, that type of stuff. If it was a structure that was there prior to the federal, it would have had its own rear sill. It would have had its own south gable sill.
Right,
But
yes.
with direct timbers joining into the federal, just indicates that they decided to build this and then just joined it directly to the federal house. There's,
Okay, well, that's
there's
good to know.
another, there's other examples. Tor, I think Dan may have showed you that clap line on the second floor. The marriage marks on that, that south vent are actually on, the marriage marks are what indicates, with the scribe rule, which pieces go where. The marriage marks are on the inside of the building, which is not, typically they're on the reference face on the outside, so that when you put the building up, you can see what you're putting together. That indicates that there was a building there and they knew they wouldn't be able to see the outside of that gable end. So they put the marriage marks on the inside.
Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, it was always purported that that was a original house and then they built the mansion, and that is a fairly typical chronology. Earlier house.
Definitely. And the structure that was there before may have been that. I had a historic mason look at the chimneys. The chimney mass is, old, definitely period to the house, but possibly could be older. There's a
Richard
beehive-
Irons?
No, actually, George Libby. And he looked at it, and is a clear indication that the beehive oven was added at a later time, probably when they built this second L.
Okay. So regardless of that, it sounded like from what Anna was reporting, or I believe it was Anna, that the foundation underneath the L, it was in poor condition, and that would all be taken out and a new foundation would be poured. And
Yes,
then in addition to that, a northern vent you had mentioned to be added going out to the north, contiguous with the L.
yes.
So there would be some ground disturbance. I'm not here to push, I am an archaeologist. I'm not here to push my own agenda. I'm just was asked to weigh in on this, that's all. So it sounds like then there will be some ground disturbance because usually you have to excavate wider than what your foundation is going to be poured, I'm assuming on the exterior
Yes.
of the existing foundation. So there would be some adversity to the ground. Having said that, there's obviously a lot more ground that could be looked at in the future. So a couple of suggestions that I had was, and again, Tor, I don't know the language. That's up to you guys. This is not up to me to decide anything. I was just asked to weigh in. One of the things, I don't know if Anna and all of you, Scott, got to look at my brief email, but one of the suggestions I had, and this is not mandated, of course, it's just a suggestion that we really need to do some general chronology on some of the beams to the house. And this just so happens to be in my town, South Bristol, which is part of Walpole. Dr. Peter Cunningham, who's a dendrochronologist, tree ring dating, and he's at Cornell University. He's professor emeritus, and he also now is affiliated with the University of Arizona, where they've shifted all the dendrochronology research to. And all I can tell you is some of the archaeology that I've done, about 30 years worth of work in the Damerscott and Newcastle area. We actually had some timbers, it was conducted at Cornell at the time, and that was in kind. I don't know if they still do that. And of course, it's now at the University of Arizona, but he would be the contact person if the owners, the Williamsons, are interested in that. I think it would be really neat to know we were able to date some wharf remains in the Damariscotta River to the exact year that the trees were felled. And usually in that time period, things were built soon after the tree was felled, after it was processed. And of course, there's always a possibility that it was a recycled timbers from an earlier building, but the chances I think are slim given the grandiose of this mansion that the L would be of that. So it would be just a suggestion. It would be really neat. It would give you an exact year that the construction of the house and the L. Secondly, it was the archaeology, and again, I've learned more tonight about the L, and which I did not know beforehand, obviously. So I would suggest that's going to leave that up to the Newcastle Design Review as far as that goes. It would be neat to do some archaeology at some future date beyond anything that's going to be disturbed, just to kind of get some material covered from the very earliest occupation of the site. Anyway, anyone want to say anything?
So let me just jump in. I think there's, so I think Tim is here to kind of explain what his consideration was in providing that email. The language in the ordinance it's a little bit vague, like most of the design review ordinance, I hate to say, but I think the real purpose of the language, the intent of it, is that if something's going to be changed or altered or demolished, that if there's archaeological significance to that area or to that particular site, that that it's known and that it's up to the committee to decide what happens with that information and what is in the best interest of the history for that site, for that structure. So I think that's aside from what the design review committee also does, which is to review sort of the design appropriateness or the design intent. How does it look, basically? So that's sort of the two things that we're here to talk about and assess. I guess I'll just start personally. I think I think the design that Anna's produced is well thought out. I think it looks appropriate, and I think I really don't have any issues with the design. I think it looks great, Anna. I think keeping in mind, you actually don't see most of the work that is going to go into this, because the angle that you do see where the dingle is probably the most prevalent angle, and it's it's an acute angle, so it's a very sort of shallow view of the elevation. So it's not that prevalent on the street, unfortunately, but so that said, I think still looking at the elevations, if you walked around this new addition, I think it looks good. I think the gallery is probably a little bit of a modern stretch to this, but it's not really prevalent to the road, so I think that's important to note. I think on the archaeological side, I think if there's something in the ground, I think that would be something that we should be weighing in consideration. So if there was extensive excavation work and it was, say, let's disturb a burial site or something of that nature, old foundation, I think we'd want to think about that carefully.
You wouldn't know that unless you did the work. So
right, yeah. So my understanding of this project is there is foundation work that's going to happen, but it's local to the existing addition. So it's kind of dismantle and replace. I don't see this as a demolition project. I see it as a dismantle, replace, maintain project. So I'll stop talking there. I'd like to know what the committee has in their minds.
We feel, I don't mean to interrupt, we feel the same way that, it's more of a dismantle, repair, replace type of project as far as, that the L site goes. And, being, I know it's not, being a historic preservation company, we have done, a number of these types of things. And, we've had people on site as we start to do some hand digging or even some light excavation work to explore what might be in the grounds around, directly surrounding the foundation or underneath the building as we start to dig a little deeper, to get to, footer depth and that type of thing.
Mhm. I guess just one more thing, question for Tim. As for the dendrochronology of the structure, is that something that could happen at any point in time? I mean, what is?
Well, it obviously would be when they were doing the renovation work, they would have access to certain beams and so on.
Right.
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So I don't really know much about it in general, but I had heard just from reading a little bit about it since Tim was nice enough to send the email. I did do a little research. Do you have to have the outer sort of almost bark of the tree to be able to count those rings for that to work, or?
They preferred that, but sometimes they can get an approximate date if that's not there. And quite often, if you look at beams, you will see sometimes a bit of the bark, the outer part of the tree. I'm sure Scott has seen that before in his restoration work.
Yeah, a lot of times we do see, whether it's undercarriage or posts or rafters that still have, their outer edge, still very much there, bark included. We have looked over, we spent a lot of time investigating the frame. And even since your email, Tim, I have gone back through the L as well. The L is not constructed in the, in a grand timber frame style as the house is. They're much smaller members. I did try and search for a piece that I could see that might even have some bark or wane on it. And, a lot of that, aside from the posts, are just, much smaller members. But, I'm certainly open to talking with someone about it, as far as, the dendro grows, just wondering, being able to find the right, specimen to take this, to get this information.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't done a lot of it myself, but certainly Dr. Peter Cunningham might be worth looking it over.
Yep.
I can provide you, not right now, but I can provide you if you want his information.
Yeah, please do.
But as far as back to the archaeology, the only thing is that you're going to be adding onto the L to the north a bent. So usually in the back side of a house was where they would deposit refuse in that time period. So you tend to find a lot more material culture in the back. So any extension on to the back would adversely obviously impact potential kitchen middens, etc., on the property. So that should be taken into consideration, again, only if there is language that says, indicates that through the town. I don't know, have you guys even contacted the Maine Historic Preservation Commission to do a review? How does that work toward as far as something of this historic nature? Because I know Earl Shuttleworth, the former director of the Maine Historic Preservation Commission, consider this a very significant house.
Right. So there's the ordinance doesn't present that, doesn't say that, that is part of the process. So it's really up to the committee how we feel we want to proceed, with this. So like I said, in the vague language, I could pull it up. We could take a look at it. It's really just one paragraph. That,
Right. I mean, I certainly think that a vent, and that's, what is it? You said 7 feet?
4 feet.
So, how much?
4
4
feet.
4 feet. So that's not that much. So, I mean, again, not trying to push anything here. It just, it is, I mean, there's gonna be a lot more deposits about the property that won't be adversely impacted, obviously. So that should be also taken into consideration, I guess, as well.
Okay.
It's not like they're just, it's not like it being, it's not, like I said, it's not a demolition, it's a redo of the house for the most part.
I do want to, just because we mentioned the National Register at one point, I do want to just throw out that, so the house is on the National Register of Historic Places, but only the federal side is, the L is not. So
Okay. I believe that.
I mean, we've definitely done extensive research and done our homework, but I do think that's worth noting that L is not included on the National Register of Historic Places.
Fair enough.
Did I hear you say, Tim, that the L was probably the original house?
No, it was purported to be, you know, just oral history of the area. But it sounds like from Scott Lewis's work that would, the current L is not.
Right.
It was an earlier building though, right, Scott, that you mentioned?
There was an earlier building there. We don't know if that would have been the original house or not. We just know that there was an earlier building attached to the north wall of the federal house.
And we don't know the time period of that.
We do not. All we know is that there was something there prior to this building. We know approximately when this building probably was raised, just based on joinery, nails, lath.
What is the time? What's the period you're thinking
We'd say probably 1820 to 1830
for the current L?
for the current L.
So there was something earlier than that. We don't know the date of that. So the archaeology would be fairly significant. Well, in indicating, you know, it depends on how earlier the other building was, obviously, and we wouldn't know that until an archaeological survey was conducted to determine that. If it's only 10 years difference, the material culture is not going to really show that, obviously. But if it's, you know, from the mid 18th century, when Vaughan first settled here, then there would be significant certain ceramic types and other materials that would be temporally diagnostic that would indicate an earlier occupation of the site, which we wouldn't know unless it was archaeology conducted.
Can I pause you there? Catherine or Betsy, do you have any comments or thoughts on this?
I just like the looks of it.
Catherine, go ahead.
It's obvious that the Kavanaugh Mansion is in good hands. I do think that design-wise, I do think that 4-foot addition on the back L with the disturbance of the ground, I think it would be quite fascinating to look into some archaeological work, just because it's such an opportunity, and it would be a shame to, I mean, I don't know as a design review, you know, how we weigh in on that, but personally, I think it would be fascinating to, you know, use that window to get more information on the property and its history. But design-wise, I think it's incredible, and we're lucky as a town to have the Williams purchase it and to go to such lengths to make sure that you know, that it stays as magnificent as it is.
Absolutely.
I agree with Catherine, but I also worry for the Williams what sort of can of worms it might open. And I don't know what the what that might be. I just don't have a clue.
Well, I mean, do you want me to throw out a scenario?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. So a phase 1 survey, if we were just talking that 4-foot addition area, would just be a series of test pits put in that area to see if there was any significant deposits there, refuse deposits, material culture, artifacts, whatever you want to call them, and if there was any smaller outbuilding that were in that position at one time. So if we found just a light scatter of artifacts, or even if we found a medium sized amount of artifacts, we would just document that and see what we had, for the earliest ceramics and other materials. But if we found, let's say, a Native American site, obviously that does open up a can of worms. I shouldn't say it opens up a can of worms, that sounds alarmist. Because it's only a very small specific area that's being impacted. So in a nutshell, if something was found that seemed significant, like a Native American site, or there was some ghost image of an earlier building or outbuilding, then a phase 2 might be required. But again, it would be very limited because you're talking about a specific area. You're not talking like the whole property. So, if I was to do it, and obviously the owners, even if this was decided upon, could call upon any archaeologist, obviously. But I certainly have lived in the area. I'm the president of the Newcastle Historical Society, and I certainly would go out of my way to make sure that we limit any, the financial impact, would try to limit as best we could.
What would be the time frame on something like that? How long would something like that take?
Well, let me ask you this question. When would you think that ground disturbance would, if you could go right ahead right now, when would ground disturbance take place in that northern portion?
As far as like excavation or that type of thing? August, couple of months, maybe.
Perfect.
October-ish.
Yeah. So we're talking.
The hope.
Okay. So for phase 1 in that area, it would be, less than a week's worth of work.
Okay.
And I couldn't do it right now anyway, because I'm already obligated with other projects. But I certainly would be at window in September or October, or whoever. This is all just talk right now.
Okay. Betsy, do you have thoughts on this?
Well, I like the idea of just seeing what's there in that 4-foot section.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's one more significant.
It's a chance right now to do it, and wouldn't be able to do it later. And it doesn't sound like it would hold things up.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. We would go out of our way not to hold things up.
Yeah.
Catherine, were you going to say something?
No, I agree.
I just chime in one more time. I just think that the Maine Historic Preservation Commission, if it went before them to review it, they would definitely want historical archaeological survey done of that portion that's going to be disturbed. But as you said, I guess the language is such that they don't need to be notified. So.
Have an mention.
Okay.
I feel like if the Williams are willing to have this work done, and it works with the time frame with the renovation, it seems like it's worth doing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think if I'm hearing that, so I'm thinking this committee, if maybe we, well, let me preface this. In the 8 years that I've been on this committee, I think we probably only had maybe 5 Class A buildings that we've reviewed for either demolition or renovations. So they don't come up much. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands I guess the weight of the importance of that classification, and that I think it's important, especially with this building, that it's not that we just don't rush through this. I feel that we should probably just be respectful to the contractor and the owner's schedule, but it would be nice if we could come back to this and just gather some more information before we just put an approval stamp on this project. So what I'm hearing is, we could have a few weeks to do a little more talk about this or research and come back in September for a final decision. I think I would be in favor of waiting until our next meeting to make final approval on this. I don't see, back to the addition, I don't see anything as a holdup on the design side of it. I don't see, I don't see us, or I don't, personally speaking, I don't see anything to ask for design changes or more information on. It's more about just the archaeological significance of being brought up by the historic site. So with that said, I think I'd like to hear the comments from the committee.
I agree. I think that sounds wise.
I agree with Catherine.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I think it would be at least beneficial for the committee if you could visit the site and just see. I think educationally it's a project. I think if it was accepted by the contractor and the owner to just look at a distance, it's sort of a dangerous site. I'd propose that to the contractor if the committee could stop by over the course of the next whatever timeline we discuss here. And so
That's perfectly fine. If you can, a little bit of a heads up on a day or a time is great. But if you're in the area where we are on site every day, so we are there, 7 to 3:30 most, like I said, every day.
yeah. Okay. So there's, I guess, two questions. If this were to come back for September, does that seem to hold up your progress? And then the other question is to Tim, if there's something has to be proposed to the owner to accept the phase 1 type excavation, and there's a cost associated with it, so the owner would have to accept that cost, and then how does that get scheduled? I guess is the question on that.
Well, it's in regard to the proposal, if the owners would like me to write a proposal, I will do so.
Uh-huh.
And I would put a commitment to a timestamp on doing the work,
Mhm.
so that they would know that it wouldn't be a holdup on their work, restoration work.
So with that said, I guess what I'm hearing, so from a design standpoint, we can put this to contractors, and I mean, that's what, when you asked about a holdup, it would be the holdup, we'd like to get this out to bid as soon as possible. And if the design is approved, then we can certainly move forward with that portion of the, of the project.
I think the design is fantastic.
Yes, I agree.
No, I agree with that. The only problem is the permit is all inclusive. So I don't think we can approve the design. Well, let me put it this way. If the committee wants to make condition of approval, the process of any archaeological survey, we can't really approve the design. So they're kind of connected at this point. So the other option would be to approve the design for design review permit with a condition that the owners work in good faith to accept a phase one survey of that portion of the project. So
That's a good solution.
I think so, yeah. I just think it's important to make it work. The opportunity for the archaeological work is of great importance. And so I just, any way that we can allow the contractors and the homeowners to move forward with the design, and also allow the opportunity for the archaeological work would be a win-win for everybody.
okay.
I do have to sign up. I'm sorry, folks, but I'll let you guys make those decisions and get back to me.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Tim,
Thank you.
I don't see why we
Or
can.
this is
Sorry, go
this is
ahead.
Steve Williams.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We're very interested in the anything to do with the history of the house, and we've been very pleased with PTF all along. Every time they find something of interest, in fact, the information that we got out of the removal of the material in the L was fantastic, because it clearly refuted what had been the understood history of that structure. And we're certainly agreeable, I guess, to would be the word. We can look into what it would take to do this phase one survey. We've done a little bit of research already, but would need to do some more. But that it is a series of some test spots, and we will move ahead with trying to get someone to do that as soon as we can. But again, we really would like to try to keep the momentum of the project going. So if there's any way to make that work, we would certainly appreciate it.
Okay. Appreciate that. So maybe what we should do is make a condition on the permit. So that would be to accept the design as presented, with the condition that the owner work towards further archaeological survey. And I'd actually like to know what they find. So if they would be willing to come back in our September meeting and just, as an update, because I'm assuming that this happens in August, but, it would be nice to know what, after this is done, what's found. And I still think it would be nice to, if the committee's willing to go spend some time looking at the project, to take a look at what's going on there.
And as long as that's coordinated with Scott, of course, because the building is in a very critical stage right now, is that it's supported largely with cribbing. It's expertly done, but it is absolutely a construction site.
Yeah. Okay.
If I can add to that, when the committee does go visit the site, I would love to be part of the tour. I obviously am a very connected and loving this project, so I think it's always fun to just talk about it a little bit more. So if I could have a few days heads up on when any tours were, I would love to be part of it.
Yeah, that's fine. You'd have to come out a couple of times. We can't hold a quorum on site, so So 2 members could go over at a time. I've been there. I don't really need to go back, but you know, if you go with Catherine and Betsy or however it gets coordinated, that would be good.
I would love to go.
Great. Yeah, I think you'd appreciate it. It's quite
Yeah.
something.
Or
yeah.
when you were there, were you able to walk into the basement?
No, I mean, Mr. Williams is correct. I mean, it's kind of
It's a-
scary. So
Yeah.
you really have to use caution, and I think it's best to just look in from the outside.
Yeah.
You know, just sort of peer your head in. It's a good enough sense. We did. Dan did take me upstairs in the L, but again, you know, you got to look where you're stepping. So, but we certainly don't want anybody to get injured. That's for sure.
I'll send you a video of the walkthrough because it's absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good idea.
yeah, that is a good idea.
Yeah, that would be safe.
Yeah, and understand the video is in the federal part of the house, which
It
is
is
the
the
part
federal.
that is not, we're not requesting any modifications to that part of the house.
No.
So why don't I can coordinate with Anna on that for the committee, or through me through Harriet, and we could sort of coordinate something like that. But let's move on. I think if the committee would accept the idea of a motion, somebody could move that we accept the design as presented with conditions that the Phase 1 archaeological survey is researched and proceeded with if it makes sense. So,
I hereby move.
I second.
okay. Any further discussion?
I just want, so I will still drop off the set of drawings to the town hall tomorrow, Anna's drawings and our drawings. And then I will, I'll coordinate with Tim and get a proposal from him and a time frame of when he might be able to, you know, do the work, and we can kind of proceed from there.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the, I just want to make it clear, we have the option to if we can get an approved archaeologist on the site sooner, we're not limited to just Mr. Dinsmore, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, that's 4. Unanimous. Great. Well, thank you so
Very
much.
good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. All right. The tenants, thank you for your patience. It's a long meeting. I will call up your information and
Can I ask a quick question, Tor?
yes, Anna.
I'm just asking this because it's getting late and I have little children. Do you need me to stay on for a recap of the Glidden project, or is that something you're just gonna read an email?
No, what I'm glad you said something. I did want to mention that I'll fill out a permit and
Okay.
I'll drop it off at the town office. I'll sign it, and then it'll be up to you to, or the applicant, whoever's on the application, to sign that, and then that will be the record. So
Okay, so swing by the town office at some point.
I think you got to make an appointment, but yes, I'll try to get that over there probably beginning of next week. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm all set to go.
You're all set. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, everyone, for a great
Bye,
evening.
Anna.
Thank you.
All right, so Revision Energy and the tenants, you're gonna put a solar array, ground-mounted system. Is there anything we should look at? Hans, I know you're a revision, Mr. Revision. So-
Good evening.
What would you like to look at? Who's going to present? Let me start there.
I'm happy to describe what the project is, and I think it would be nice to hear probably from the tenants as well,
Yeah.
especially if you have questions about the particular siting of the system.
Yeah.
I've already abbreviated my remarks. So let Hans proceed on our behalf, please.
Okay, great. Hans, I think if you wanted to share any information, there's a lot of you provided a lot of information, which I appreciate. Not sure what to go through, so if you want to direct me or if you want to share.
Sure. Yeah, I can. If that's all right, I will share. And just. All right. Are you seeing?
Yes.
The cover page now? Okay. Okay. So maybe I'll just describe briefly what this project is. This project is a ground-mounted grid-tied solar electric array to generate electricity to reduce or offset part of the tenants' electrical costs at their home. In this case, as I said, the array is on the ground because there's not a suitable place on the building itself. And what I'll show you through it on the next couple of pages here is basically where that array is located. This front page is not the exact array, but it's representative in terms of it will be 2 modules high, 2 solar modules tall, and about the same number wide. I'll show you some dimensions soon. But just for some scale, as you're looking through these or understanding the drawings, this front edge is about 3 feet off the ground, and the back edge is about 9 feet off the ground. So that gives you a little bit of sense of just how big this thing is. I'll zoom in so you can see this better. So the address here is 65 the Kings Highway, and here is the home. The array is to scale, and in the planned location here to the south of the house. But that is to scale, so that's compared to the size of the house and the distance from the road, showing the setbacks from the side and the front is all to scale. Is this a good? Well, I guess let me go through a few more things and then we can come back to this if you have questions about the specific siting.
I have one quick question, Hans. Yeah. The sort of orientation of that solar array as it's indicated there, is that true? Or
that's the plan. Yeah. I mean, typically, if we have the option, we'd like to point these true south, and that's the orientation that's indicated here.
Okay. And you say
that's just for production reasons.
It looks like the array is about 50 feet long. Is that the scale in this drawing?
That is, yeah, the array. This page, the structure or the earth screws. So this is installed with earth screws. So it's minimally invasive on the ground. It's 45 feet end to end. And the array, as you can see here, does overhang each side a little bit, about 2.5 feet. So yeah, we're about 50 feet long end to end. That's right. And this is to scale for this area here.
Hans, when you're finished, for me to make a few brief remarks, I'll ask you to come back to this photo.
Sure. Okay. I think the other thing I wanted to show is just what the structure of the racking looks like. So this is galvanized steel and aluminum racking with the modules shown attached to the front face of the rack. As you can see, the rack is built on ground screws. So these are screws that are about 2.5 inches in diameter, about 7 feet long. They get screwed into the ground with a rubber tracked machine. So they're minimally invasive. There's no concrete. We're just putting these into the ground and then fastening the poles or the posts into them with some bracing to hold the whole array together. And that's what you're seeing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 posts across the front and 2 rows deep. That's really what is relevant, I think, for the appearance of the array. And here you again see 9 feet roughly at the top end and about 3 feet at the back end. And the array is about 9.5 or 10 feet deep from as a footprint, projected area on the ground as well. So after you've seen that drawing, this probably makes a little bit more sense. You can see the ground screws. This is 1, 2, 3. This is 12 modules. The proposed array is 15 long, so another 3, but rough, same idea in terms of what this looks like. Paul, is this a good time for I can go down to the site plan and you can talk about your reasons for the array or any comments you have?
Well, I think from a revision standpoint, if you've made all the key points, then I'll just take over when you're ready.
I think I've covered what I want to present. I'm happy to answer. I'm sure there are questions. So,
Are there any questions at this time, or do you want me to just take over?
Why don't you go ahead, Mr. Tennant?
Okay. Well, I assume that you all have copies of this. I'm going to just in a very condensed effort to speak to a few things. I wanted to speak about the topography of our property, which is about 3.2 acres, and make some points that I think are relative to this project. And if you can go back to the cover page of the packet from revision, you'll see a set of job-specific notes, and bullets 6 and 7 are what I want to draw your attention to.
is this what you're looking at, Paul?
Yes. Yeah. So it's the levels of sloping grade. And if we can go back to the Google Earth photo and zero in a little bit, then I'll make the point. So yeah, that's good. That's good enough. Actually, can you just back it out one move? Just that's perfect. So our property is adjacent to the Sheepscott Community Cemetery. The border with the cemetery begins there on that gray area that marks our driveway. The house is sits at a level. If you almost look across where the garden shed appears and the brown rectangular area that is my garden. No, over here, you're on the septic. This is the garden area. If you think about an intersection that bisects the property running from east to west to the river, there's a substantial change in the height of the land. So our home sits about 12 to 14 feet higher than the ground level, approaching the garden shed. So, and thereafter, the slope that runs south is about 12 inches moving from north to south. And a more significant decline occurs moving from the Kings Highway direction towards the river. And that slope moving west is about 32 inches over 45 feet. And that is about a 350-foot length of our property from the Kings Highway to the shoreline. So one of my points is that this is one of the far lower spots on the ground on our property in order to locate this. So that for example, and I'm not going to go through the photos that I contribute. I'm trying to short circuit them in the interest of time. But Hans showed you the display that showed the top height of the structure as being nine feet. That level is far lower than the the balsam tree where the buried conduit arrow pierces it, and also the garden shed, where at its peak, it's over 14 feet. It's also a distance, and with the photos I offered were an attempt to give you some sense of what this looks like at ground level. So the point is, we think that this is fitting in a way where it is reasonably concealed. More on that point is if if you can leave it the way it is. The property line is well treed, as you can tell, except for along the road. So along the driveway and the cemetery is a long line, the length of the driveway of 30 to 35 foot high arbor vitae. And then it gets into what really is a prominent aspect to the wood line throughout the rest of the property. So the larger trees that you can see there are primarily oak with a smattering of beech and other deciduous trees along the way. There's a few very tall white pines in excess of 90 feet, closer to 100, scattered along the shoreline and also on my southern sitting neighbor's property on the property line. The area is very dense, and it also is dense by a healthy forest and also underbrush within the forest. Just to give you some sense about distances I measured, all the measurements came from the front two pins that are in the ground now as guides for the installation. So for example, from the nearest pin towards Kings Highway, that's 127 feet back from the Kings Highway. Looking at the southern property line adjacent to my neighbor, that distance is 162 feet. Going westerly, the total distance to the shoreline is 184 feet. So those total distances are a mixture of mowed field and to some degree this high meadow field that we've left, and it's kind of like the arc that you see that has kind of a baseline there with the 50 foot setback, but it extends much closer to the actual property line as you can tell. So again, we think that there's buffers, there's certainly aspects to what we enjoy about the property itself in total that we think help to locate this installation very close to where outbuildings and other services appear. I think that's the main takeaway that I wanted to supply with a ground level orientation for you. About the shoreland, for anyone's interest, what you see in this photograph of water means that it's high tide, most likely at the time that this is a 2018 photo, as I remember right, from Google Earth. And at high tide, we have a very high embankment, and the embankment is anywhere from 5 to 8 feet above the high tide mark. So it's rugged to get down at low tide, where in this area, this is known over time as Cargill's Cove. It's basically a mudflat. So there is nothing else there or there to be seen on a westerly view. And this our forest, our trees are rather dense. You cannot see the other side of Cargill's Cove from this position. Same trees. If Hans, can you just reduce the dimension a little bit? I want to show my neighbors. That's it. That's fine. So one last thing about the southerly location, the gray roofed building that you can see at the margin is my neighbor's barn. That's the narrow side of the barn. It is not visible from my property. His property sits on a similar rise, well above the field, more or less on the same proximate level as our home. And his house actually sits further to the side, southerly from the barn, and it, excuse me, and it faces the Kings Highway. Across the street, and it's covered by the inserts here, is a home that's presently is under contract for sale, and that property is about 7 acres in size. Mine is 3.2, if I remember correctly. And that's that. Those are the comments I wanted to make.
Okay, thank you. Hans, I have one question. I assume the orientation, where you have that place, the array, it's such so it has least interference with the shadow of the tree line to the east. Is that, or the west? Is that what I would understand then?
Yeah, it's really due south. It gave us our maximum efficiency with the working of the operation. I'll tell you that we entertained initially a roof installation. Roof installation was not going to be nearly as efficient, and the roof is in good shape. It's got 3 to 5 years of life left in it, and as you might know, Tor, the incentives, especially from federal tax credits, are on the wane, so that this is the year with the greatest opportunity to take advantage of the tax credits. So we're interested in doing the project this year. The economics for the project would change noticeably if we did it at a later time, meaning if we delayed until we thought we would do a roof installation. But the roof installation was not nearly as efficient as this setup in the field.
Well, I was just going to say, it looks like your roof orientation, the gable runs directly north-south or close to it.
Right.
It's not really optimal, so I can see that. I guess what I was cut to the chase, why I was asking about the tree line, is to make sure that the array couldn't move any closer or go any further west. You know, or I guess the question would be to Hans, why, you know, the specific reason why it's placed where it is placed on the site.
Yeah, I have to say, I have not visited this site, and Paul, I didn't meet with you, but I know that our typical site visit process, you know, for determining the location would be, you know, a discussion with the owner, with the property owner. But it looks to me like this is, you know, a compromise between sun exposure, obviously getting back away from the trees to the south, the trees to the west, but also, you know, placing the array in a location where it's minimally intrusive, both from the home and from the road, and specifically, of course, from the cemetery and the neighbors. You know, that location is a place that both allows the equipment to work well, but also, you know, keeps the array from being intrusive to you, Paul, you and your wife, but also any neighbors.
Got it. Okay. Just a quick question. What's the underneath the text where it says buried conduit? There's like a fluffy green rectangle. What is that?
Compost bin?
No. that's a 20 to 25 foot tall balsam tree.
Oh, really?
This, the tree here or actually underneath the text?
No, yeah, right where you're indicating, Hans, right there.
I'm sorry, where, your question is what, to where the
What is that fluff? Is that high
that
grass?
is, well, that's a wild planted dandelion planting.
Looks like a milkweed patch.
And that's post bloom, and we're letting the plants die back and replenish the nutrients in the bulbs.
Got it. Let me pause this there just to solicit opinion or comments from the committee.
Well, I think solar power is fantastic. So, and they put it in a good spot.
You're
Looks
right, because
Thank you.
we're not in those shadows of those big tall trees.
Right.
I'm all for solar. Go for it.
You, Deb, we appreciate that.
Agreed.
Agreed? This is your neighborhood, right? Do you walk down here?
Yeah, we know one another, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, solar's the way to go.
I don't have any other comments. Does somebody want to move to accept this?
I move that we approve it.
Okay, second.
A second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Great, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It was worth the
Thank you very
wait.
much.
Yeah, good.
Thanks for your
That
patience.
was, and the previous agenda item was a very interesting one to listen to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Certainly
was.
was.
Yeah.
So I'll, like I said to the last applicant, I'll fill out an permit and I'll leave it at the town office for you to stop in and sign. Okay,
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your
Thank you very
time.
much.
thanks.
Thank you, Hans.
Nice to meet you all. Have a good evening.
Okay. So we'll try to be quick with our business. The meeting minutes from June 4th. Any comments on those?
we can leave it.
Good.
No? Okay.
They're good.
Good. Motion to approve.
Okay.
Motion to, oh, okay, second.
All those in favor? Okay. I think we were all there. I think I made note. We were all at that meeting, so that's good. Harriet, that's a unanimous vote. Oh, yes, Anna's. Okay, I'll run through this quick. The what this 67 Glidden Street is, it's a previous application back from 2018, actually. So it's going back a little ways, but what we made a condition on the permit, and I'll call that up. I'll share it with you guys. So this was the permit that we issued, and it said with these conditions, double hung windows on the northeast, southeast, and then what was the other point?
There was
Oh, I'm
something
sorry.
about the front door.
It was about the front door, but it wasn't actually a condition of the permit. It was a note in the meeting minutes. And so what I guess what Anna was what Anna Stoneboat Architecture did was honor our request to come back when she knew what the door was going to be. So let me try to find that. you seen that?
Yep.
Yeah, elevation. So there's no motion or vote on this. It's just sort of graciously informing us what they are doing with the front steps, because we granted them permit on this with the only condition, as I said in the meeting minutes, that we would like them to come back, because they, at the point, they didn't know what the front stoop was going to be. They thought it might be wrought iron rails, and they weren't sure if they could afford it. So they landed with this wood handrail with decorative newel posts and you know, this kind of balustrade. But I think it goes well. So
Is that the front step, that railing?
that's
This-
on the front. That faces Glidden Street. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they've done a nice job if you've been down there. You know, again, it's
Is
a nice.
this the house at the very end?
No,
No, it's before the gates to the Hart Estate. It's I think
Yeah,
2 doors
that-
back,
just past the cemetery.
just past the cemetery, right?
Was it a red house?
It is
Yeah.
red. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah.
it's extensive. They've really taken their time on it, done a nice job. So anyway, that's kind of it. There's no real discussion or motion on that. So just kind of informing us. So I wanted to share that with you. Let me just get rid of this.
So as far as the Kavanaugh mansion goes and going out to the site, how are we gonna organize?
Well, if you want to see, I got a video, I guess, Anna is going to share with us. So you can take a look at that. I'd say if you want to go to the site, I really recommend you going.
Yeah, I'd like to go.
I would, I guess what's the best way to do it? I would just, I can coordinate time with the contractor. I don't know if I
Or
need,
Anna?
what's that?
Does Anna want to be there?
Anna, she did. So maybe it's through Anna. Maybe we'll work through Anna, and she can meet out there with the committee members. So I think the best way to do that is just send out an email
Okay.
and then just try to coordinate that with some times.
Yeah.
Does that seem to work?
Yeah.
I guess.
Who's
and-
our alternate?
So we don't have an alternate right now. We don't have a representative from the Mills either. So we're down 2 members.
Is Nancy not on anymore?
So I haven't heard from Nancy. She said she didn't want to be on. You know, she wanted to step aside. So basically, I haven't. You know, I think that was it. She kind of resigned. She hasn't been reappointed. So, you know, we're down 2 members right now. You know. So that brings up the last thing, the chair. Does anybody want to do this?
Not me.
So I mean, here's where we are. You know, we have a proposed, you know, there's a new ordinance that's who knows when it's going to come up to vote, and who knows if it's going to be approved. So I don't think we can count on that. So I think what we need to do is just proceed like where this is a 1-year appointment, and you know, and that's that. I can do this. I think there's a little bit of pre-work that I think goes on, you know, I guess behind the scenes, you know, some communication with Harriet, and then some just coordination things. It's not that time consuming, and you know what it's like to have a meeting. So, you know, I'm happy to do it, but I'm also happy to step aside if somebody really wants to do this.
That's fantastic if you want to do it.
If you want to do it, yeah.
You can do it.
I think you misunderstood me.
We nominate
I don't
you.
want to do it. I'm willing to do it, but so I think tonight was a marathon. We don't usually have this. So
Well, I think
But you handled it well.
thanks.
I think it'll help a lot to get all the plans. One of the requirements should be that they ought to be put at the town hall.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point, Deb. I think Harriet's here. I think we'll make a note of that when applicants come to the town office, should be known that they have to leave paper copy for us to stop in and review. So that makes sense. So, so that's that. Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you, Tor.
All right, you're welcome. So let's move to adjourn. Everybody, let's say aye.
Yes.
Good. All right. Thanks, Harriet, John. Talk to you guys later. See you in a month.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.